On the program today, South Africa appoints a third finance minister within 1 week. Burundi puts on trial a group of generals and senior officials who participated in the coup in May. Hundreds of Sudanese refugees in the Jordanian capital seek urgent assistance from the UNHCR. At Network Africa, we begin right now. Welcome to Network Africa. I am Amarachi Ubani. Before we begin, let's take a look at the headlines this weekend. Beginning in Nigeria, Shia leader, wife and son of the leader of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim Zakzaki, were killed during clashes with the military in Zaria, Kaduna State. The army says the sect members had tried to assassinate the chief of staff, Lieutenant General Tuku Burutai, on Saturday as his motorcade passed through a Shia procession. Also over the weekend, as clashes intensified in Burundi, the United States joined other Western countries to urge citizens to leave the country and advised others against traveling to Burundi. The embassy advised citizens to remain indoors, away from doors and windows, and stay in ground floor rooms. Also happening this weekend, delegates at an international conference on the crisis in Libya urged all parties to accept an immediate comprehensive ceasefire. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who was at the talk, said no one understands the need for a ceasefire better than the Libyan leaders, and the whole process needs to be driven by them. Well, back to the present now. President Jacob Zuma has appointed a new finance minister for South Africa. That's the third in a week. Remember, last week the president sacked former finance minister Lala Nene after the rand fell to record lows, causing the stock market to tumble. After him was Van Rooyen, whose departure left such uncertainty it may have damaged the country's reputation further. And the new man, however, is Pravin Gordhan, and it's not the first time he's been finance minister. He served back in 2009 up until last year. So let's get more on the new man now. Pravin Gordhan trained and worked as a pharmacist in Durban and was one of the main negotiators in the drafting of the constitution, the democratic constitution of the country from 1991 to 1994. He also ran South Africa's revenue service from 1999 to 2009 and served as finance minister from 2009 to 2014. He's back in his former position, which hopefully he will occupy for a long time. But he faces a number of challenges, one of which is finding jobs for the growing number of unemployed people in the country. The president's actions have not been unnoticed by opposition parties. Many of them are calling for President Jacob Zuma to resign. The general public also is very unhappy with the president. Financial markets have been falling since last week. Let's head on now to Burundi, where a group of generals and senior officials are facing trial for their participation in the coup in May. Former Defense Minister Cyril Ndiaruki and 5 other generals are among 28 people standing trial for their role in the attempted coup. Launched when President Pierre Nkurunziza was abroad, a coup was swiftly foiled. Now, the trial highlights what experts say are worrying signs of divisions among the security forces during a crisis that erupted in April after Nkurunziza was re-elected a third time. Opponents said his re-election violates terms of a peace deal that ended a 12-year civil war in 2005. That deal had included reforms to the army, which absorbed rebel fighters in the majority of Hutu ethnic group and a force that had been led by the Tutsi minority. And while Burundi's government insists the army remains united, experts fear the violence could fracture the patchwork force and deepen a crisis in the region where memories of neighboring Rwanda's 1994 genocide are still raw. And Burundi is experiencing the fallout of that coup that happened in May. The eruption of violence over the weekend has been unprecedented. Authorities are saying death toll could now be as high as 90. On Friday was the worst clashes it had ever experienced. Blasts and gunfire heard all across the capital, Bujumbura. Residents said they spent the day collecting bullet-ridden bodies. The army says there were further clashes on Saturday as gunmen had attacked 3 military sites. A count in the bodies on Saturday was at 79, made up of the attackers, 4 police officers and 4 soldiers. The United States has been one of the first countries to condemn the violence, while the United Nations says it is considering further steps on how to end it. Joining us now from the Burundian capital is media consultant Jean Regis, who himself has witnessed some of the violence in Burundi, especially during the election. I'm hoping he's on the line now to join us. Jean, thank you for joining us on the program.
You're welcome.
So there were horrible clashes leading to the weekend, with residents reporting that they were hearing gunfire and explosions in Bujumbura. Have things died down now from what you can see?
Yes, it is going down, but people now are afraid. Some of young men have went into hiding. Some have fled their home places. So you can see that people still terrorize about since what happened last Friday and Saturday.
So who really is involved in the clashes? We know it's a fallout of the elections. There are many ethnic groups that are inching towards this and who are calling for the president to step down. But why are they revolting now? And why is it why is it turned out to be an ethnic war, an ethnic crisis, beg your pardon, instead of just a political violence?
We haven't yet reached the point where we can say there is an ethnic war, but there is some ethnic rhetoric that has been going on a couple of weeks via some officials and some guys from the ruling party. But people who are involved in this, that there is some insurgents who are armed, they are them who are fighting against the policemen, against the army, because last Friday 3 military bases were attacked by insurgents who are armed, who were pacific protesters before during the protest. Now they are armed, so they attacked the military now, which is for the first time the military bases were attacked.
Wow, so please give us a sense of what people are telling you, the ones who were holed up in their homes over the weekend because of the violence outside.
Okay, people are afraid people, they have in their mind something like a genocide is going on because this rhetoric used by these officials and some policemen on the ground. And how can more than 100 civil innocent people being killed because they are in the protesters' areas? You know, many people are dying, are not armed insurgents. So this is why they are saying, okay, this is a kind of genocide. This is the end of our lives, and they are kind of disappointed with how the international community is handling this question. They are disappointed how the mediator, Mr. Museveni, the president of Uganda, is handling this issue, as in there's some kind of hopeless in the Bujumbura people now.
And it seems like, you know, in the midst of all of this violence, we seem to have lost the voice of the president. We haven't heard him say anything yet concerning the clashes.
Yeah. You know, this is how he communicates. He communicates only through his communication advisor and spokesperson. He give really interview to international media, to local. There's not even local media, independent local media are not there. So the president has kept himself silent since like 4 years. 4 years. He's not even now. People have been waiting for him to criticize. I've been waiting for his comment, his statement. He communicates only through his spokesperson or some statement or declaration.
Jean, thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you very much.
Jean-Regis is in the capital, Bujumbura. But when we come back on the program, we'll take a closer look at the new climate change deal agreed over the weekend. Please stay with us.